Welcome, episode 1 of the Run The Tibby podcast. My name is Steven Diaz. I have Harry Hazen and TJ Tibbs with me, and we are your three hosts. And on this podcast, we're going to talk everything basketball. But today, we're going to talk about a hot topic. We have three trainers in the room, I guess, but one coach, two former coaches. But we're going to talk about the different perspectives of trainers and coaches. So Tibbs has me cutting up a little video for his team, breaking down the terminology that he uses with his team, and there are some unique ways to describe some common actions. And the first question I wanted to ask him was, why is it okay for him to have these weird terms, but trainers to not be allowed to have inverted speed lift stop spins?
Well, the first thing to me is just that a lot of the the names we have for terms, like you said before, are common actions that happen across the game of basketball. So whether it's high school, college, NBA, it's things you see every day in the game that we may name uniquely because we may tweak it a little bit, or it makes it easier for our guys to kind of norm what it is, or maybe we're trying to kind of disguise what it is so we can just say it on the court. But I think it's important, obviously, when you're coaching basketball to have common terms that everybody can get on the same page, because it's not just about yourself, it's about the team. So head coach, assistant coach, manager, players, point guard, everybody's got to be on the same page. So it makes it easier when you're communicating. You can't sit there and say, "Hey, you got to come up from the corner," and no, like, "Hey, he drove there. You got to lift when he drops." And it's simple. It's clear and it's concise conversation. And to the contrary, not that I don't think that trainers should have names, but if anybody follows me on social media, y'all know that one video going around with the dig step and the scissor step. Like that's just ridiculous. And trainers are awesome for the game, but when you get people who got the scissors from their seventh grade rec team teaching people how to scissor step, that's when it becomes ridiculous.
Hold on. I want to say first, we could argue that the dig step, scissor step video is what started this podcast. We could make that up. Two, it's you can't disagree with anything you said, but nothing that you said like is specific to the world of coaching and not the world of training. Does that make sense? Like all the things you said are great. Like, yeah, you have terms for specific things that you think are important, but there's nothing. Keep in mind, we're not like us two. I'm pointing to us two. Like me and Diaz, when we were like really heavy in the training world, like we're not naming stuff either. So like, that's not
Yeah.
coming from
Oh,
a
maybe you're not naming stuff, but I can just scroll through my social media every single day, whether it be Instagram or I don't have TikTok, but whatever that thing now is called on Instagram, that is TikTok,
reels.
TikTokgram that they're doing on Instagram. You see all these basketball trainers, whether they're reputable or not, doing stuff that even you guys can admit is clown stuff and maybe not clear representation of what's going on in the training world. But like they got these inverted double hefty bag, and like all the kid doing is crossing the ball over. Like I'm tired of watching a basketball game and seeing somebody make a layup and then somebody say, "Whoa, did you see that lazy boy step?"
No, you've never been at a game and heard that. No, that's a thing.
No, what are you talking about? If I made my whole Twitter feed 100 basketball trainers, and LeBron James dunked the basketball, I'd be like, wow, that was an incredible show of LeBron James being athletic. And somebody would say, yeah, well, if you would have seen the frame step that he slid into the coffee 50-50 creamer, like this is the reason why he got there. Like, I'm tired of that, bro. Like, I'm tired of that because as a coach, and like I said, we having fun with this, but as a coach, you get kids that are working with trainers, and obviously we're gonna get into all that. And you can see from the moment they start doing anything that is showing their expression, they start doing all these different things that they're not that effective at, but they're trying to put it in their game. And then you're gonna have like, what was that, bro? What was that you just did? Oh, that was my tic-tac-toe step. You didn't see that? Like, this was the tick. He stepped in front of me, so I tacked, and then I had to lay it up, so I toed.
So it sounds to me, so I toed. It sounds to me like you are more so criticizing like the actual content of what is being named. And the fact that it has a ridiculous name more often than not is just more fuel to the fire. But let's say we came out and made like our terminology for common actions that are specifically skill related. Would you be upset at us naming those things, even if they had prior names? Because I think that is where like a lot of the frustration on the Twitter world comes from, is like the Tim Hardaway,
Right.
the history of what is behind a particular move is, I don't want to use the word like insulted, but I guess you can, like, you're insulting the history of the game by renaming something. But
Well, I don't feel like it's like that. To me, it's like if it's common basketball stuff and there's a common name. So I'm in a lucky position to where I get my kids for 9 months a year, right? So my voice and what we do in our program is the dominant voice as far as what they're doing. So I'm in a lucky position. And my thing is, and my rebuttal to that is, if the action is common in the game of basketball, like there's no need to rename the rocker step. So when you get a kid, I think you become more effective as a trainer when you get a kid and you go, yo, this is the rocker step. Because whether or not when that was created or whatever, the three of us understand what a rocker step is, right? What a Tim Hardaway is. I'm like, yo, if I said, yo, it's a crazy game last night, one of my kids came down at the end of the game, hit him with the Tim Hardaway, you know that's a between the legs cross. Like, you know that's what it is. So, like, just because maybe Trae Young does that better, like, what advantage do we have as a trainer naming that the Trae Young, to where, like, what's the point of that to me? And I know a lot of training is marketing, and I applaud the trainers who are out there who are mastering the marketing game, because a lot of them are mastering the marketing game and they ain't doing nothing training. So they have to be these like incredible marketers. And I'm not hating on them. Like, I don't like it and I don't agree with it, but I understand it because in the end, it's a business. And with coaching, as with training too, because there are a lot of people who train and it's not necessarily a business, it's their craft. I get offended by more so by the names of stuff that's being created when it's business driven more than it's craft driven. Because basketball, I'm gonna get on my Kyrie, I need my incense, but basketball is an art. And I mean that seriously. Like, I really but I need the incense and I just don't have it. But basketball is an art form, and it's creative expression and it's all that. But sometimes I think, and even as coaches too, and I'll say that sometimes, it make things more complicated than it should be. But we don't have that internet platform where we're getting on the internet and going like, this is the, it's just not like that.
That's true. That's true.
Trainers are taking over.
Yeah, I think it's a smaller world. Like, for a coach, you're only defining a word or a phrase to your team. So as a trainer, when you put stuff out on the internet and define something to the internet, like, there needs to be an understanding, at least, to what the hell is going on here. I think that's where, like, the disconnect is. And given the context of, is the difference between a dig step and a scissor step really that important? Is it that important? At the end of the day, it probably just isn't. I don't think there's any case you could make that would buy me on that a dig step is more useful in certain situations than a scissor step. Harry, can you sell me that?
I don't know if I can say that, because I'm gonna be honest. I know we're on Team Scissor Step, but I don't really know what a dig step is. But
Listen, a scissor step is real. Scissor step is real.
yeah, that was my next like
Oh, believe me, Harry texts me every time somebody does a scissor step in the game. I'm getting some sort of notification from either a text message or some sort of social media thing where he tells me that somebody did a scissor step.
But here's the thing,
Too, Steve.
so that's the thing is at what point is something like we're using like is like a common action, like at what point does something happen enough and is it effective enough that you should be like, yo, scissor step might be a real thing.
Well, to me,
a real thing that might need to be named.
Well, I'll tell you the one thing that I think as a coach that comes from the training world, because it's so competitive for the dollar and for the attention, that trainers are at the height of creativity in the game.
Yeah.
So trainers have to be naturally creative and keep pushing the envelope, and they have those spaces to we only get so much individual work in during the season, especially with the NCAA rules. Like we're just not allowed to do a lot, especially during the season when you're doing so much team stuff. You don't have that much time with class and everything to really get kids and do what trainers can do on an individual basis. So because trainers are competing now for social media likes, for attention, for kids, because of the business aspect, they have to have some sort of something that separates them, their personality, the creativity. So they're constantly pushing the envelope, which I love, because I probably learn more from trainers from a development standpoint than I do from coaches, even trainers that aren't, in my opinion, that great. Because you could be on to something and we could laugh about it and clown it, but it's because the presentation just wasn't right. That's what it really is. So that one video with the scissor step and the dig step, the presentation was awful for so many reasons. So you're dressed like a model's mannequin. So I'm not taking anything that you said seriously, me personally. And that was the number one thing. And then the whole seriousness and intensity of the small difference between the scissor step and the dig step, like that just had me weak. That just had me weak. But the truth is, there is like, I would want somebody to sit me down and say like, yo, this is a good move, a one-on-one basketball move to teach the kids to advance their game. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I've told you guys, like, guys, I don't know what a dig step is. Like, I don't. I'm not afraid to admit that. But I'm sorry if the difference is what that guy is saying. You're not getting me to sit there and teach the kids the scissor step and the dig step, because I just don't think that time commitment to learning that matters. Especially, I think as a coach, I think of everything as far as time, because you don't have that much time. I have them for 9 months, but when I have them during the week, you really don't have them that long. So when you train, you got them for that hour, that 2 hours, that hour and a half, and you have their undivided attention. You don't have to worry about any outside consequence. I have to worry about how that stuff, everything fits into player psyche, all that stuff. So I think sometimes I myself even make mistakes by kind of dismissing some things. But if I know somebody's reputable, or if I have further conversations with them, and I have people come into my DMs all the time, like if I'm like saying, posting something and it's crazy, and they're like, yeah, but this, and I love having those conversations because they enlighten me to what it could look like, but maybe that person is just doing it for the wrong reasons.
I can't wait till 3 podcasts from now and your season starts. And the entire CSI practice is an hour and a half of 15 guys.
You're going to see me on the sideline this year, and there's going to be like 10 seconds. It's going to be an ISO from somebody. And instead of like yelling for people to pack it in or force them left, could be like, watch the scissor, scissor, scissor.
No, or worse, your player will miss a game winner. He'll do a scissor step, and you'll go on the post game interview and be like, "Well, he really used a scissor. He did use a scissor step, but I really think he could have used a dig step there." Listen, and I think that was the difference maker.
I think the difference was that he didn't go to the butter knife step soon enough. Butter knife stepped only twice in the game, and they just couldn't guard the butter knife.
I'll never forget when we went live like 3 weeks ago, and Tibbs goes, "Nah, hold on. At what point is someone like eligible to learn this? Like, at what point in your basketball career is like nothing else important and you gotta learn the scissors. And I still don't know the answer to that.
No, it's crazy, but we have good dialogue about it. We can laugh about it, and this seriousness behind the jokes because, like I said, it's basketball. Basketball is an art, so it's an art and it's creativity, and I really do believe in that. It's a way to express yourself, and trainers are constantly pushing the envelope, and growing up, for me, there wasn't any trainers, there were just coaches. So it's kind of like coaches throwing the same way. So I love having trainers as an existence in the game because they challenge my thinking, and push my thinking ahead of the times. Even if I'm looking at things crazy, but it forces me to constantly learn and adapt.
Yeah, I think everything has to be taken with context, especially when you're scrolling on your Instagram feed and you see a trainer post some very clickbaity um, post about one move versus another, or the three most effective moves, or something like that. Because I think you just have to ask yourself, like, is this person trying to sell me on something? Like, does this just look like a bad advertisement, or could this help me get better at basketball? But on to another topic. Um,
I don't
I
know
think
if we're
that
keeping score in these things, but I won. I'm just letting you know. I don't know if we keeping score. I don't know if that's the point, but go ahead. I digress.
I think that's a debatable round.
the point, yeah, it's a debatable round. The point for the listeners, the point here is to kind of blur the lines between coaches and trainers. I think that there is a huge disconnect, especially on social media. Everybody's in their bag on social media, um, and I think that coaches are on their high horse of experience, and trainers are on their high horse of this is a free world, and creativity, and they could do whatever they want essentially. Um, but let's talk about the just general disconnect between trainers and coaches. Tibbs, I think we touched on this a little bit, but is there anything that you have to say to that? Like, what's one of the things that you understand the least about trainers that you see, whether it be on Instagram or wherever you see them?
Generally speaking, because this is not specific. I don't know all the trainers in the world, but generally speaking, and this is basically what you see of social media and what kids come back to me with. I'll say at the college level is that everybody teaches kids to play with the ball in their hands, and usually you're not that kid. So everybody teaches kids how to create space with the ball in your hands, how to have better handle. And on a team, there's one or two kids who have the ball in their hands making the plays more times than not. And I'm not saying that other kids do not make plays or other players do not make plays, but they have the bulk of the ball. You even look at the finals right now. Who's creating for Miami? Who's creating for the Lakers? LeBron James is creating for the Lakers. John Rondo is creating for the Lakers. Anthony Davis is creating for the Lakers. And I would even say that Anthony Davis, and I put him third on purpose because I don't see him as a creator. He's a finisher.
He's a finisher.
He's a finisher. He creates because of the attention that his dominance brings. Who's creating for the Heat? Jimmy Butler's creating. Goran Dragic is creating. And I would arguably say that Tyler Hero is creating. Outside of that, there's nobody creating. You could maybe say Bam. Especially with how much they put him in dribble handoffs and like he gets short rolls and stuff like that. But
I think I'd more put him in the finishing
he's
category with AD, because it's kind of like end of the action. Bam is there's nothing left. Shot clock winding down. Bam is gonna dribble three in and outs and shoot a mid range pull up like that.
Mike Scissor, he scissored the other night. Harry sent me that text, right? One of y'all
did he really? Wow.
Scissored. He scissored against the Celtics. He scissored. I got a text.
I think it was when he dunked on dude.
Yeah, on Tice.
Oh no! I texted you that. I texted you that.
I got an alert from.
We're gonna play that. We're gonna play that.
But no, but so the thing is, right? Even at the highest of levels, you have two guys that are dominating the ball and are really making these plays. And to get back to the original point is that I don't think there's enough trainers out there that are teaching the fundamentals of shooting the basketball. Not changing somebody's shot, because everybody's biomechanics are different. I'm just talking about being on balance and mastering your feet. Because most of the things that are going to happen for kids are going to come off closeout situations. And then my next gripe in general with training is that you always see guys, and by guys I mean people, guarding, like if they're dummy guarding somebody, they're guarding the move to beat the on-ball defender, but hardly simulating the help. Because if you become so good, especially through training and or ball handling, you're gonna beat that first defender almost all the time. You're gonna beat them if you're that good. You need to know what to do with that second defender, what the reads are, and what the footwork is around there, and you know what I mean. So those are the things I have a hard time, especially get guys from the summer. They work on all these things, and then they don't do them efficiently or effectively, and then I'm like the heartbreaker. I'm like, wow, don't do that. Because I've watched you do it now from September to November, and you don't do it that well. Here are the numbers that back that. Don't do that. Because I'm definitely somebody that I will let you do whatever it is you want to do. There comes a time and point where now I'm telling you what you're not doing. And I'm going to back that up with tape. I'm going to back that up with numbers. I'm not just going to tell you because I don't like the way it looks. I have guys shoot 12, 13 times from three in a game and go 1 for 13. And I'm over there screaming like a maniac for them to shoot. And everybody in the gym is looking at me like I'm crazy. But if you put the time in, I believe in that. But don't do something in the game that you only practice one time. Like, why do that? That's a waste.
Harry, your rebuttal, your response.
I think I'm going to take this response and kind of flip it in terms of like, I think there's things that in the coaching realm, in terms of like a 2-hour practice, that are like so anti-development. Just like a backstory is that what was that, like 4 years ago in our last podcast, something like when you were the host, Tibbs, I think I literally said like I would never be a coach, or like I hate coaching, something to that effect. And then I got the opportunity the last 2 years to coach at Lehigh and then at York College. So while that was a valuable experience in like figuring out how, when you're used to running like an hour and a half workout with like one person, how does that skill set translate to what you can contribute to 2-hour practice? And that's like really hard. And it's really hard because you have all of these like staple drills that coaches do, right? You think of like a 3-man weave, for instance. Nobody in the history of basketball has ever gotten better at basketball by doing a 3-man weave for 10 minutes. Like, you think about like just how easy it is, especially when you're at like the college level. I understand like when you're a kid, yeah, it's cool to like just learn how to do drills, but like at the college level, everyone can make that pass, and the layup is like an overhand 1-on-0 layup that you literally don't need to work on. Like, you don't need to work on that anymore. So even something as simple as like if you took the 3-man weave drill and said, all right, all my guards have to finish with like a floater, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know, maybe there's a coach that's doing that, and maybe you guys could think of other, I'm using the 3-man weave as like an example, but there's so many times in a practice where, you know, you hear the phrase like, oh, training is to get the individual better and coaching is to get the team better, which is fine. Like, yeah, you should do that. But at some point you should sacrifice the simplicity of a lot of drills that I'm sure a bunch of coaches and kids that are listening to this, or hopefully listen, are doing, and make them a little more complex to where there's like a development aspect to them. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be my, if I had a gripe with like the coaching world to clap back at Tibbs with, that would be my answer.
That's a very weak clapback, in my opinion. But I will say this: I I've been coaching now for 14 years, right? So one of my early years coaching, I was a freshman coach at Curtis High School, and I'm very young. And my first practice, I started doing with a 3-man weave. It was one of the first drills we did, and it took us an hour. And my stubbornness as a coach was like, "No, we're gonna get this." And it took us an hour because the kids literally didn't know how to do it. Like, couldn't get the pass and go behind, and then who gets the rebound? Couldn't get it. Like the level of player we had at Curtis, they never had been in an organized basketball practice. So we didn't have many kids who played CYO before. That was really their first real organized practice. So after that first practice, 10 years ago or so, I never did the 3-man weave ever again in any of my practices until this year. So I didn't start doing the 3-man weave again until late January or February of this year. And here's why. And I agree with you with adding things, but I think everything does need to have a purpose. Developmental, like when we make the practice plan, or when I make the practice plan, we go over it. Each drill has a purpose. What are we trying to accomplish, right? What coaches are supposed to be where on the court and what emphasis? Because we all can't look at everything, because then we're not looking at anything. So we have to have people looking at things specifically. But why I brought the 3-man weave back into our practice, even though I don't believe in it myself, is because I started to realize that some of the things we were missing from our team were because we stopped doing drills like that. So we were not talking a lot in practice and in games. And I realized, well, we tell them to talk and we tell them to communicate, but we don't warm that up. We warm up shooting, we don't warm up talking. So what does the 3-man weave make you do? Harry, Steve, Tibbs, right? It warms up you because you have to talk, right? You call names. Why do you call names? We all know each other's names, but you're warming up talking. And then it's warming up moving at a certain speed. So we do 3-man weave, and you got to make a certain amount of layups in a certain amount of time. And it leaves room for maybe one miss. So if you miss once, what does it do? Now you see the guys in the back of the line like, yo, you got to lay it up cleanly. Yo, let's go. Let's be ready. Now they're communicating, making sure everybody's on the right line. So I started to see the value in that. As a basketball drill, I agree with you. And I will ask you this, because I started to think, because I played for Tony Petoza, and anybody who played or coached against Tony Petoza, you did the same warm-up. 2 regular layups, 2 box jumpers, and 2 elbow jumpers. And then you go to the other side. 2 regular layups, 2 box jumpers, and 2 elbow jumpers.
And then change the warm-up and do it again.
You're not diverting from that, right? And I actually really liked it because of the routine, but I started to think this. I don't watch warm-ups for a lot of reasons, because everybody warms up differently, and I don't want to be frustrated by me thinking that somebody's not ready to play a game because of the way that they're warming up. But is there any reason that anybody should be warming up, taking a regular right-left layup? Or is there value to somebody, the first layup they take, going same hand, same foot, underhand scoop, and maybe missing? Like, what do you think about that?
Like treating warm-ups as like a workout, basically?
Yeah, like working on the thing. Like, in theory, if there's 14 kids on the team and we each have a shot at 5 layups because of the way the warm-up is, and college warm-ups are longer than high school warm-ups, right? 25 minutes generally, you might even get more. Should me, Steve, and you, in our turn in line for a layup, which means a close attempt at the basket, should we all be shooting the same layup? Like, should my big man should be doing the same layup in my attempt as me? Because at that level, at the college level, if you get a steal in a wide open layup and you can't make that, you shouldn't be on the court. So do you need to warm that up?
I don't think so. I think you should warm up. That's a good question. I think you should warm up like a shot. And I know this is like a whole new conversation of like doing what you do in games and workouts, but in warm-ups, you should be warming up the thing you need to warm up for, if that makes sense. Like, you probably need to warm up your corner 3, because you can't just walk in. I feel like if you can't wake up and do that thing 10 times out of 10, then yeah, you should warm it up. I could go to the park across the street right now and make 10 out of 10 like overhand layups at half speed. You know what I mean?
I think it's the same reason why. I think you should warm up and you should take layups, and I think it's similar to the reason why Tibbs you were saying to do 3-man weave. Um, because it's a confidence and comfort thing. So I think that for if as a coach and if I'm a player, as a coach, you directed me and you were like, hey, today in warmups, let's just shoot threes, man. Like I don't want to see you going to the rim. You shoot threes, that's what you do. Me as a player, I'm gonna be like, well, my thing is like form shooting. When I go, the first thing you do when you go in the gym, start close, move further out. I feel like it's a confidence and comfort thing because even though it's a different movement, you still need to see the ball go in the basket. You still need to get a feel of your legs, your body. You jumping, how does that feel? I think when you step on the court and warm up, you're so worried about like who's in the crowd today? Oh my God, is there somebody on their team that's doing a 360 through the legs? Like, can I do that? Can I still clap? Like, you know what I'm saying.
I mean, keep in mind, like you're talking to someone who was the king of like, I'm gonna get mad high above the rim and then just do like the drop it in thing. Like, I think
Yeah.
there's definitely value in like trying to jump as high as you can just to get your body warm. But if we're talking about like the shots you're taking and the skills that are going to translate to a game, I didn't dunk in a game. I came close to dunking in a college game like once.
Yo, I banned because you can dunk in warm-ups now, right? So
Yeah.
there was
Which
one
I'm so upset about that we graduated like a
So-
year.
Of course,
Oh, me
the
too.
year after I
Me too.
left.
Right.
Of
I know,
course.
like it's crazy. Like I couldn't get any of my dunks off. But I banned at some point this year. I don't remember, but I banned dunking in warm-ups. And mind you, I told you I don't watch warm-ups, right? But one day I'm watching the film, the raw film, and they record warm-ups. And I was on the phone. So I was just letting it play. And I was realizing that every single one of my kids on the team were trying to dunk the ball in warm-ups. Like everybody. Everybody. And there's one kid on our team, two kids on our team this year that caught dunks in the game. And only one of the dunks were pretty contested. You know what I'm saying? So one or two of the dunks. So at some point I said, you're not allowed to dunk the ball in warm-ups. Of course, kids had a problem with that. Why? That's all right, no problem. You can ask me. Because none of you go to the rim with that ferocity in the game. And on top of that, the alternate universe of that is you should be working on tough finishes because that's all I see us take around the basket and we can't make them at a high clip. So instead of you going to dunk the ball when none of you can dunk, why don't you go and reverse layup or floater or different angle on the layup? Like that just seems to make more sense to me. The first time you do that shouldn't be in the basketball game when that's one of your shot attempts. That makes no sense to me.
Let me respond to that. Harry, I got us. So,
Oh, it's a us thing.
I don't even know what he's about to say, but I'm sure.
yeah.
Guy recently got engaged.
I
but
feel
it's
like
an
I
us-
feel like
no,
Chris
you and
Wallace.
Harry is an us thing. Wow. I hope Lauren is not listening to this.
I feel like Chris Wallace right now.
I don't
With
know.
the debate.
Oh wait, Notorious B.I.G.
Nah, he was the moderator at the debate.
Oh.
Yo, are you serious? You can't say Chris Wallace to me and think that that's the debate. Like, you
Come
think I care
on.
about that?
That's what I thought too. I was like,
Current events, bro. Current events. Anyway, you almost made me forget what I was saying. PJF Performance Podcast. He talks a lot about things that improve your vertical, things that don't improve your vertical. He has like a whole. You've had to heard of. Have you heard of PJF Performance? Any of that?
Nah, no disrespect to them neither.
wow.
He trains like Harden and he does like legit stuff, not clickbait stuff.
According to Instagram, everybody trains James Harden, man.
Well, no, he's more of like the
No, like body,
like
yeah, like
guy. Like he's
yeah.
a guy more so than like a scissor step guy. But he does have like basketball stuff too. But
Oh,
continue.
so he's a dig step guy.
More of a dig step guy. But he said on a podcast, and I am paraphrasing, he said the best way to practice how to dunk is to keep trying to dunk over and over again. So I guess your philosophy comes from a hey, what you're gonna do on I need you to do what you're gonna do on the court. But a trainer is more focused on getting a kid better, constantly getting a kid better. As a coach, you're focused on what are you going to do to make me win, to make us win. As a trainer, hey, I would say, hey, try that. Maybe you'll dunk one day.
Yeah.
I think that's the disconnect. Um, a great question to move on from this topic. Um, as a player, did you care? Did you care as a player for trainers, for coaches, the opinions? What did you value more? What did you put more value into? Tibbs, when you were playing in the Stone Ages, I know that the trainers wrote on stone. They they would chip out the words on stone what they wanted to tell you.
1, 2, 3, boom.
No, anyway, I like. Did you have a
Boy,
trainer?
somebody laughed. And if you did, you listen to this and you laugh at me, at TJ Tibbs on all platforms and be like, Tibbs, why'd you boo him? I laughed. All right. And then I'll retweet it and send it to Steve. Go ahead.
But Tibbs, did you have a trainer?
Nah, so back in the Stone Age, I didn't have a trainer. The best thing that I did or anybody did was to work with a coach that was different from like your regular coach, um, who had a different view. Because once I got to high school and I went to St. Peter's Boys on Staten Island, and there was a clear philosophy as soon as you walked into the building. Clear philosophy from the freshman level to when you graduate. All the teams pretty much learn the same things. They play similarly, and you're developing the skills to be able to play like that. But when you played in AAU, you play for somebody different who may have a different philosophy, but they were still coming from the coaching mentality. So training wasn't nearly as rampant when I played as it is now, and as maybe when you guys started, coming up. But I really valued having different coaches, and the best thing I think I did in my life was I played 5 sports. So I was able to take something from everybody. And I've had really good coaches in baseball and basketball and football and soccer and even in track, which I picked up in high school. And the way they communicated things to me, I was able to think about that because basketball being my main sport. I was able to think about that in the basketball terms. So soccer, there's so much more physicality in the game that soccer is actually the most physical sport I played. And you'd be like, yo, you play football, you play basketball. I played corner in football. So if I had to tackle somebody, it was already getting past 9 people that should have tackled them already. And in basketball, I play point guard. Is not the further you are from the basket, the less physical the game is. But in soccer, with there being so many 50-50 balls and playing the box, like you're getting knocked and bumped, and soccer players are so physical with little tricks and grabs. There's one referee out there, and there's 22 players. So the rep ain't gonna see everything at all. So they out there grabbing you, elbowing you. And I started to learn not like to play dirty in basketball, but that, I'm so petrified of fouling because I played a prominent role in most of my teams that I couldn't get in foul trouble. So sometimes that made my defense like I never really reached because I didn't want to get a foul. But I started realizing as I got older that I could grab here because the ref is over here. I can grab here. I can't get away with a little harder box out here because this guy's bigger than me and I can't just box him out. So I can like turn around and like mellow box him out because I'm smaller than him and the ref is not really going to call me for that because he's just going to see me as fighting. Same thing in the post. Like I can get away with being more physical and put all my body weight into trying to front this guy or push him out the post. Meanwhile, if 2 people of the same size cannot do that, they're going to get called for a foul every time. So I think there was value. Those are like my trainers playing other sports and learning from that and trying to transfer into basketball.
Harry, before you respond, I really want to save the benefits of different sports for another episode because I think that could be a whole 45 minutes of conversation.
That will get 10-piece nugget spicy in here. No nap.
Nah, 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 I won't. Harry played soccer.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, we could literally do a whole thing on
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But Harry, did you have a trainer growing up?
No, I had a backyard that had a hoop in it, and that was really it. I went to Basketball City like my whole life, and then going into my senior year, like one of the coaches from there was like, "Yo, I'll work you out," and like I think I maybe worked out like 10 times. So like that was kind of my experience training. It was definitely good. Like I enjoyed it and I got value from it, but I don't know. I'm a little different in that like I really didn't get coached like at all until I was at IMG, which was definitely a whole culture shock coming from PSALB being the LeBron James of my division.
What? What? You have bad hairline?
One, two. No, you know what?
But no, what was I about to say?
I'm killing you. I hope the point is not to keep score. I'm killing you.
I think the going back to like the creativity thing, like my trainer was like N1. And that's something I don't think like
Who was your guy in N1?
I mean it had to be hot sauce. Like
Yep.
yeah, I don't think there's another
Sizzle. Yo,
think there's-
5 points for you. Yo, you can make a comeback right now if you tell me Hot Sauce's real name. No, not you, Steve. I know you know.
I know it.
I know Steve.
champion. Are you kidding?
Okay.
Are you insane? But no, that I think like so a lot of that was literally me like watching whatever videos, watching street hoops, playing street hoops, watching
Wow.
street ball on ESPN, and then literally just going in my backyard and like trying whatever ridiculous thing from the video game I saw. And like that was it. But I guess that was enough creativity for me to at least get to be playing Division 3 basketball. I'm not saying that if I watched like 10 more hours of and one, I would have been D1, but like I don't know. I don't think
You would have been on ball up.
exactly.
Well, which one is the one with the trampoline?
Huh?
Slam ball.
Yeah, you might have been on slam ball.
Nah,
But
slam ball was insane.
in short, I did not have a trainer. I really wasn't coached, and I don't think I'm offending anybody that would have coached me up until I was like 18. I really I didn't know what real basketball was until I post-grad at IMG.
I had two trainers growing up. I had Ed Watkins, rest in peace, Ed Watkins, Staten Island great.
It's the GOAT.
When I was in like 7th, 8th grade going into high school, and he like it was just gritty. Like Trinity Lutheran, we'd be running up and down Seaber Avenue. It just taught me like how to really work hard. Like it really made me go into high school and be like, I'm prepared for this. And then when I was in high school, I had Jerry Mosley, who completely like changed my whole jump shot, and that was literally the reason I played division college basketball. So I think that there are certainly benefits, and they greatly affected my career and even my style of training up until this point. But the next question that we have here is, who matters more, the trainer or the coach?
Well, to keep it short, I don't know if I could say who matters more. I think in the end, you're trying to win basketball games. That's the goal. Trying to get better at playing basketball, win basketball games. And depending on the personality of the coach who you play for, they're the ones who are controlling your minutes. So um, there needs to be more of a marriage between trainers and coaches for sure. And dialogue should continue to be open. But I think in the end, my truly non-biased opinion is that coaches matter because you can do all the stuff with trainers, but if a coach just doesn't agree with it and you're playing for them, that you're not going to get what you want ultimately, and that's playing time.
Yeah, I think who matters more is like a tough question because it's like who matters more in terms of getting the player better. Possibly, I would say in that realm, it goes, the player is responsible for getting himself better. The trainer is responsible for like whatever knowledge or drills they give. And then the coach is like assessing that skill set to see if he wants to put you in the game or not.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you don't check the boxes on yourself and having a good trainer, then like, yeah, the coach is just going to be like, all right, you're not ready to play, so you're not playing. So I guess the coach is the end all be all, but the responsibility would be on you and your trainer to, I guess, do a good job. I don't know. I don't know if that's like a weird way to answer that question, but
I think that order of responsibility is important. At the end of the day, it is on the player to um, understand what they need to get better at, which is literally impossible for young kids. Um, but to understand when they're being fed bullshit and to make sure that the coach sees their improvement, which is a lot of responsibility as a kid. But um, I think it's important in that order. Um, all right, so we're gonna wrap it up here. It's the end of episode 1, Run the Tibby podcast.
who won?
Like, subscribe, comment,
Comment. All
smash
those
that
Smash
like
that
button.
button.
That's right.
Slam on that like button.
And yo, turn on post notifications because that shit is actually important. Because otherwise, the algorithm